Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network. The broadcast shows are for informational and entertainment purposes only. They are not designed to provide listeners with specific personal, medical, or counseling advice. Individuals with a medical issue should always consult their healthcare provider. MS&Me is not responsible for content of individual shows. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own. Enjoy the show.
Hey y'all, and welcome to Straight Up with MS and all its crazy little circles here on MS&Me Radio, brought to you by the MS Global Support Network. I'm your host, Patty Long, and you can find me once again on Twitter at MSNit for Life. And I can't spell, y'all, so I spell it MSENIT, the number 4, LIFE. And I would love for you to come on Twitter and search for me. And you might even can put it in a Google search and find me. I don't know. I've never tried that. But yeah, come find me and say hey, and I'd love that. Lately, I've been struggling a lot, and I missed a lot of weeks of recording a new show because, well, I ended up sinking into a severe depression. And this happens. We can sink fast and hard at times, and I certainly did. And to be honest with you, it's something that should never have happened. But I live amongst ignorance. What can I say? There is nothing I can do about it either, which didn't help things any, because I did speak to somebody to find out what legal action I have against this. And the answer was none, which I found completely unbelievable in this day and age. But since I don't have a legal leg to stand on, I have to come to grips with that, and I have to deal with it on a daily sort of basis. And I have to build my happy bubble back and build it stronger. And, I can't say enough about my friends on Twitter. My MS family that's the hashtag I use, hashtag MS family. And a lot of others do. And MS Village, that's another one. Or We Have MS. If you search these, you're going to find this whole community. And they always have your back. So after noticing that I hadn't been around, they started reaching out one by one. And it was so amazing, and they pulled me out of the seriousness, and I spoke online about it, and I talked about being in this struggle and what I wanted to do, and they all encouraged me to do it, and I've actually had people apologize to me now for encouraging me to do it, because I found out I couldn't. I didn't have that legal leg to stand on. And, whether they call it legal or illegal, if you're living amongst ignorance, it's dangerous. I mean, it's freaking dangerous, because it can easily flip that switch, and you can't allow your switch, your depression switch, to be flipped. You need it to be on happy, not on depressed. And so I have all my tricks that I use on a daily basis for this. But once the bubble gets popped, it's hard to bring yourself back out of it. And I'm still working on it. I'm working really hard on it, actually. And I like to put smiles and hugs and laughter emojis and all of that in whatever I post. And it's kind of a way to help me remember to keep smiling and keep laughing. And it's hopefully something that you find appropriate when I put the laughing or whatever, and that you don't find it inappropriate, because I don't mean it in an inappropriate way. So, but yeah, a lot of times I can use those as reminders, and I'm rereading and rereading and rereading things people have written to me to remind me that all this garbage that I was told, that got in my ear because I felt cornered. Actually, I was cornered. I was, I'm always out on my deck or my front porch or somewhere outside if it's possible. And so I had my chair kind of in the corner part on the deck. And when somebody's standing in front of you and you're in a corner, there's really nowhere you can go. So I was cornered. And then I listened, and I didn't have my phone. That was mistake number 2. First mistake was sitting where I was sitting. Second mistake I made was not having my telephone with me, because distraction, so I'm not listening to it even though it's ranting around in the background, is a great technique for me to keep these words out of my head. But I didn't have that. And the longer it went on, the more of it I started actually hearing, and the more of it sunk in until it finally popped my bubble. This was back at the beginning of July. So, we want to find ways to escape these things, ways to avoid these things, if we're in a situation where we can't, force it out of the house. And, because there's no reason for me to be feeling bad about myself. Not really. But after hearing all the words over and over and over about how people are simply polite to me, and that nobody really wants me around, and that I don't do any good for anybody, and just all kinds of garbage, finally it sinks in. At some point, it's that kind of stuff sinks in. So it flipped my switch. It popped my happy bubble. And from there, it was just awful. I've hit that rock hard bottom in the darkness before, and I think I was just hanging by a ledge just above it, and have been hanging there for quite a while. So I'm trying to pull out of it. I'm trying to get the rest of the way up there and rebuild this happy bubble and make sure that I don't put myself in a position like I was when I got cornered, and find more ways to not have to listen to it. Another thing I've used is headphones. Now, headphones aren't going to block it all, but again, this takes having your phone as well, because you turn the volume up on some music and it'll drown anything out, right? So that's something I've used as well. And there's just lots of different ways to not have to listen to it. But I was cornered. So I did. I had no choice. Even though I kept trying to just close my eyes and put my head down and not listen, at some point it just all fell apart. And I went with it. And when that happened, and the stress of the situation and the things that were said to me, I really spiraled backwards with my MS, and all my symptoms went freaking nuts. which is what stress does. It makes your symptoms go nuts. And nobody wants their MS to be all nutty and acting up and not knowing what's going to happen. I mean, I've been electrocuted. I couldn't tell you how many times. And that's really fun, you know. I've done this booty shake thing that was faster than I've ever seen a dancer do it, and even was told that at pool the other night, because I did go to pool because I figured that would help me to feel better, and it does. Honestly, it does a lot. So, you know, my whole team, when that first started happening, I heard, who was it? It was, I don't remember. I don't remember whose voice it was now, but I heard them holler, Patty, Patty, Patty. And then it was like a second after I heard that, and I had my team right there around me. And then a couple of them went back to the tables they were playing on, and the rest stayed there. They ensured that I would be safe. You know, they're like my little force field at pool, you know, and they were going to make sure that I didn't fall. And they're like, what is going on with you? And I was like, well, you know, I'm kind of getting these little electrical shocks, and it's kind of, you know, like just pumping my leg here. And so they were like, well, are you okay? And I had one of my friends, Louie, who was there for the major seizure in October and the one previously in the May before that. And he was like, oh no, you're not going into another one, are you? And I'm like, no, this isn't a seizure. I can feel this, you know. It's like these muscle spasms, this spasticity of a tremor that starts really high up and involves my entire leg, and it's being caused by these little electric zaps that I'm feeling, which are like, you know, holding the electrical hot potato game where you throw it back and forth and whoever lands on it gets the zap, but, you know, they weren't really strong. And I assured everybody that I was going to be fine. It would stop in a second, and it did. And actually a minute, but you know who's counting. So they've always got my back, and that's the kind of people we want to have around us. We want people that are going to have our back, not people that are going to put us down and make us feel bad about ourselves. So my team has been, they won last session, and for the entire area, and they all have a free trip to Las Vegas, Nevada to play in the World Championships, although I don't know why it's called the World Championships, because I think it's just America. So guys, I apologize for the name of it. I didn't pick it. But we're going to be playing, or my team's going to be playing in this tournament. And they were all asking me for the past many weeks, since they first won, if I would go with them. Please go with us. You're a part of the team. You just missed winter session, but you're a part of the team. And I mean, it just made me feel so good. And I wasn't going to go because while their trip is being paid for by the league, mine isn't free. And I don't make much. I mean, I get my disability check and it pays my personal bills, but it doesn't pay a whole lot extra, you know. So I thought I probably shouldn't go. It's a week-long trip. But since all this happened back in July, at the beginning of July, and then I found out that I didn't have a legal leg to stand on, and since he's trying, as he says, to be nice, which, by the way, guys, if somebody has to try to be nice, that's not a person you need to have around you. If they have to try to be nice, and you can cut them from your life somehow, that's a good person to cut out. Because a person shouldn't have to try to be nice to anybody. If you don't like me, you don't like me, but you don't have to be mean either, and you can always leave my house. So, but if you have to try to be nice, yeah. So this is the words he says, and he's trying to be nice. So he's offering me money, and he put $500 in my account, but I wasn't happy because, well, I'm not the kind of person that money makes them happy anyways. So I still wasn't happy, and he just wants me to snap out of it, y'all. So, you can't just snap out of these things. And I wasn't happy, and stuff doesn't make me happy, not really. So, I was then told, well, you should go to Las Vegas with your team. And I said, well, I don't exactly have the money to go on that, and my trip isn't free. So then he offered to pay for the trip. So the next night at pool, I said, if y'all still want me to go, if you're absolutely sure that you don't mind looking after me, because I don't know what's going to happen. I've never been to Vegas, and I don't know how it's going to affect me. I said, as long as you're sure, you're willing, and all that, I can go. And they were all like, yes, go, go, go. How many times do we have to tell you we want you to come with us? And I'm like, well, this is the last and final time, because Charles booked my flight. So Charles booked my flight, and now I'm going to go to Vegas with the team from August 12th through August 19th on the man's dime. Now, I feel like a bought woman, like I'm being bought and paid for, but at the same time, why shouldn't I have a nice vacation? I'll never have a nice vacation off of what I make alone every year. And there's no way. I can't afford that. It'll take me 2-3 years to save up to have a decent vacation. And then, who knows? But it's just, he's making a lot of money. And so it's not really that much to give me to pay for this trip. Because I was pleasantly surprised that airline tickets to Las Vegas are super, super cheap, y'all. So the getting there is easy. It's the expense of a room and food and all that, and I have no idea how much all that's going to be. But he said, put it on a credit card and I'll pay the bill. So I'm like, okay, that's what I'll do. That's exactly what I'll do. And so this week, aside from having made the announcement to my family that I'm going on this trip, I've also, what else have I done? I've dug in the mud, just because it would be more fun to dig in the mud and be all muddy. I mean, these sound like stupid things in a way, but a lot of the stuff that I have done this particular week to try and help me to feel better have been really silly, like digging in the mud, trying to swing on a tree branch. And that's always one of my favorite ones because it's a physical activity, and physical activities are known to improve your mood. So to get rid of depression, it makes sense. You need more exercise. So I've been working out again, finally, yay. I don't have my music yet because I can't get into Pandora, which is frustrating. But I'm pedaling and doing my exercises and stuff like that, or at least a third of them, not all of them, but at least a third of them every day. And I'm walking around and I'm going through the woods and I'm finding things to hop over and finding things to walk on top of, fallen trees, fat branches, whatever. I'm also finding that some of them have been there too long and are pretty much rotted out and my foot goes through. Yay me! My foot is now stuck inside of a tree. I feel like, I should be on Winnie the Pooh or something with my foot hung in the tree. But I've done that. And I've had a day or an evening, a dinner, whatever you want to call it, with my children and my grandkids. I've been to pool, so I'm doing these different social things. I'm doing the physical things solely, not solely, but because I'm really trying to put an emphasis on having some fun to get me out of the funk. So, what else have I done? Oh, I've been hit by the slinging slobber from my dog, which was really funny. And I thought, I probably should get hit. I should get hit just because I'm in this stupid mood and I let this guy put me there. And that's my fault. It's my fault that I let his words do that to me. It's my fault that I took it and I let it get into my head and under my skin and all of that. And then I just have to get this bubble going again. And it's not an easy task. I mean, I've been dead silent for, it seems like, a month. And I'm just starting to get back to talking to people. I apologize for a crappy show. I'm not at all organized in my thoughts. So, I do apologize for that, and I apologize for being gone so long. But it's one of those things, depression is just awful. And I am planning on getting my thoughts together and putting it all down on paper. Well, sort of kind of paper. Because I am starting a blog, and I will let you guys know as soon as it gets published. And this is where I'm going to start. I'm going to start with what happened and how bad I sunk and how the community has reached out and how thankful I am that they did, because who knows how long I would have been hanging on that ledge without them. And I know I'm climbing out. I just haven't made it out, but I'm getting there. And I'm hoping that this trip to Vegas will pull me the rest of the way out, and then when I get back I can ignore any of the comments said about my trip, because I'm going with 7 guys of all different ages, y'all, from young 20s up to like 72 or 73, something like that. So it's a range of ages, but I don't want to hear no junk when I get back about going to Vegas with 7 guys. I just happen to be on a team with 7 guys. And we are a tight-knit team, just like my MS family and friends online on Twitter. We're a tight-knit group. And so people notice. I guess that's my point. People notice if you're a part of a group like that when something is wrong. And when they notice something is wrong, they start hunting you down. Now, sometimes it takes us a while to find a person, but we will hunt you down. That's what we do. And it's not always an easy job. I went through a friend of mine. I went looking for a friend of mine not too long ago, and I hadn't seen him in a long time. So I started asking around, and nobody else had seen him. And on the forums or anything. And I finally got in touch with somebody who thought of a great way to find him. And so we reached him. And I am so glad we did, because, this is what happens. When we get super, super depressed, we have a tendency to get really silent because we feel like we're all alone. We feel like we're worthless. And we're not. We are not. We are all worth quite a lot. And we all go through quite a lot. And there are others of us out there who care. So, don't go through it by yourself. Don't feel like you're all alone, because you're not. And jump online, especially on Twitter, because that's where I am. But jump online and meet real friends. Make real friends online with people who understand and know, and who will always, always have your back. Just like my team always has my back. I feel like I'm going to Vegas with my own set of bodyguards. So hopefully next time I will be in a much happier mood than what I am today. But I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. And as always, remember always, smile big, smile often. Oh, that's what I'm doing. I'm making silly faces at myself in the mirror again. That's a great way too. But smile big, smile often, laugh as much as possible. And remember to always, always, always love yourself, your whole self, including whatever wacky parts you got. So, y'all, have a great week. Bye.